Hi there, this is Life Prepper here. This morning I've been out, still dark, and I got thinking. Went over there to wash my hair and all that. Before all the guys start showing up and hanging out over there at the place here in Quartzsite, they have a couple hoses set up over in the dog park. They have a place set up in dog park fenced in with some swimming pools where you can put water in there for the dogs and things like that. Then they have a couple hoses set up over there with the tables at the top. So a lot of the homeless guys come over there and wash up and hang out. So this morning was the first time I went over there real early and washed my hair and cleaned up, put some clean clothes on because even in a survival situation, you've got to try to keep the body odor down and things like that. And there is ways to do it. But what I want to talk about, difference between a real prepper and wannabe prepper. And you're like, well, what's the difference? Well, have you ever been around people that you listen to talk smack? They go on about government this and government that. We need to do this and we need to do that. And then they talk about surviving. Well, this is what we got to do to survive, blah, 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 blah. But they never do anything. They talk about it. They'll be the ones online going, and they'll talk about it all day long. But they never leave their couch, basically. They'll get with a group of guys and they'll get arguing and talk about, well, we got to do this, we got to do that. But they don't do anything about it. Nothing. But they'll talk the smack. Now, when you're talking to other guys online or other people, women online or whatever, other people, you can only go by what they're telling you because you don't know these people. You haven't seen these people. And they're talking smack. You don't even know if that's the real picture of them. They could have a picture of them from 20 or 30 years ago when they were slim and looked good. And now they're 500 pounds with rotted teeth, bad breath, acne from here to high waters, hadn't cleaned up in months, and they're talking about prepping. Now, there's different types of prepping level. Let's get that straight. I like to learn. I like to comprehend what I'm doing. I'm slower now through the injuries and everything. I've had a knee replaced. I've had the back surgery where things just got to the point I physically couldn't do anything. And I was miserable, but I still made things to sell. But as far as physically enjoying things and learning about living in my car, learning how to survive, learning more about what's around my surroundings, taking time to travel around the United States has taught me better how to survive. Would I rather be in a nice, comfortable apartment? I hate apartments, so even that. A nice, comfortable place to live? Yes. Does it have to be fancy for me? No. I just need a place to sleep, a place to work. I'm not a material possession person. I don't judge myself about how much I have. I don't need to wear a bunch of gold rings or fancy designer clothes or anything to prove who I am. But the fact is, you got preppers out there that likes to brag about everything they got. And you'll see that in these groups. Look what I got. I got 5 years worth of food. 5 years. Look at all this here. And then I rotate it out. Keep it rotated out. I got 5 years worth of food. I'm going to tell you right now. People's taking notes. And if you talk about it, they're going to come to your house and they're going to rob you and they're going to take that food because you're going to say, I can't believe it. We've been neighbors for years. I'd have never thought in a situation like this he would actually break into my house and attack my family and take my food. I can't believe that. I'm out here burying my wife because he killed her and he raped her. Can't believe it. And he stabbed me and I'm lucky to live. And he locked the kids up in the room and he took my daughter and kidnapped her. And I don't know where he is. That's what I'm saying. There's nothing wrong being a prepper. Nothing wrong being prepared. But there's different levels of it. For me, I don't have the funds to be going out and buying 5 years worth of food. I have to count on what I learn, what's around me, what to survive on, what to eat off of, what area to go to. This area here only gets about 4 inches of rain a year. So friends of mine that where they live at here in Arizona, they had to have water hauled in. So they don't know what they're going to do if something really did happen. You have to take all that in consideration, and you have to take what garden you put in. I looked at some houses a while back here in Arizona, and you can see the pictures where the greenhouses was dried up and everything. As far as coming down to staying in an area where I would have to haul water and find water, is really touchy. If you go up to the mountains, you got to figure out the thing about the winter months. You got to survive. But up in the mountains, you do have the vantage point during the summer months to raise your crops, put your food up, put water up, and get yourself prepared. There's always a downside and there's always an upside. But these wannabe preppers pretend they're something they're not. And you got to be careful about them because they're online talking the smack. One guy, I've called him out 2 or 3 times over the years, and I just don't want to talk to him anymore. I got where I don't even get in the chat rooms much anymore because a lot of it's full of hogwash. And then he'd get talking about trying to get a place. I said, quit trying to get money out of people. You know, he's been trying for years to talk people and helping them set up a camp. And you know good and well, I've learned being out here the last couple of months, living the way I'm living, the scammers. I always knew there were scammers out here, you know, with their hands out for money and food, whatever. But you got to be careful. I've learned firsthand, you got to be careful. These scammers are out there, and they're going to be among that group, and they're going to listen to you talk. And you're going to get buddies with them. And then they're going to tell you, you're going to start telling them about the stuff you got put up and where you're at. You know, eventually they're going to find out where you're living at. So they're going to have all that information down. You don't know about these people online, especially wannabe preppers, and they're scammers. So you got to be careful. And then the big downside on the prepper groups is that a lot of them like to brag. They like to brag about what they got. And because of that, I'm not impressed by it. I don't care how many guns you got. In my point of view, I think it's stupid to have 300 guns. I think you need your basic guns you're going to use, your hunting gun, you know, shotgun, your rifle gun, your handgun, whatever. 4 or 5 guns, and stock up your ammunition on 4 or 5 of these. Not 300 different weapons, because the apocalypse does happen and you run out of bullets, that gun ain't worth a crap. So, you know, there's different preppers. I'm more of a back to basics type. I believe in utilizing what's on my land, on nature and stuff to survive with. I use what's around me to survive with. I don't need bukus of stuff. Now, there is those that are in militant groups, does the militant thing, military outfits, the weapons, the training, they do all that. There is those that are set up in groups. They have their groups all set up. They have a bug out place somewhere lined up. And it can go on and on and on and on and on. But you got to do with what you got money-wise. And if you don't have the money, you can't do it. And be careful about joining these groups. If you decide you want to become part of one of these communities, you need to be careful in this event. You don't want to end up in a group of like a Jonestown event or one of these other cult-like groups where the head honcho starts getting all crazy and deciding, you know, that he's going to have all the women and I'm going to decide this and I'm going to decide that. You don't want to be in those kind of groups. So, but you got to watch out for the fake preppers. They're the ones that's online. They're the ones that's talking to smack. And they're the ones you'll never see in these meetings. They'll say they're there, or even if they do go to those events, you won't see a picture of themselves. They'll do pictures of everything around them, but you never see their face. You never see their body. So you got old Joe Blow, 500 pounds or whatever, or someone standing there is no bigger than a beanpole. It could blow away if the wind hits just right, taking pictures of all this stuff, but you'll never see their face. You'll hear their voice, but you'll never see their face or their body. And they'll just be telling you this stuff or showing you this stuff to get you to do this stuff. They may even tell you they're part of a group that this is so-and-so area. And they could be. There is groups that ask for memberships. They could go as far as showing you a card saying, I'm part of this group. But it doesn't mean that they're really prepping. It just means they're wannabes and they're talking the smack with you. So you got to be careful. There's different levels of preppers. Some of them gets really extreme. Some of them gets really out there. They're survivalists and military-like based people. There's back to basis preppers, basically like I am. There's a lot of them that chooses not to live in a home. They choose to live out of a van or camper or RV or whatever, in the car or whatever, because they don't want to be tied down. They prefer to survive out there. There is different levels of them, and you got to be careful with what groups you associate with. Some of them are very extreme. They have their rules, they have their regulations, and some of them actually has brainwashing techniques. You got to be careful. So there is a difference between preppers and non-preppers. Just do your research. Start looking it up. Next time you're online in some of these groups, I used to be in them a lot. Start listening to them. Start reading between the lines, basically. When they're typing stuff, read it. Read between the lines. Start asking questions. And find out for certain if this person really is a prepper. Do the research on them. If you want to become their friend and you want to become part of their group, well, check it out a little bit more. Be careful that you're not getting picked up by scammers, wannabe preppers. You got to be careful on it. And another thing, as being a prepper, you don't really have to be with 500 groups. Find you a couple of groups that you're comfortable with. Like, again, you got to remember there's different levels of preppers, and then you got these scam preppers. So there's a lot of preppers saying, be safe, be happy, and bless all of y'all out there, and be careful. And I'm not going to be living in this car forever.